All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Written by French philosopher Blaise Pascal, in an era of smartphones and social media, it's even more striking that this was wrote back in the 1600s. Smartphones have become an integral part of our society, a digital Swiss Army knife with more functionality and power than most people's home computers. They have the ability to access the internet, send and receive email, create and edit spreadsheets, Word documents, edit photos, video, produce music, and if you're a dinosaur like me, you can occasionally make a phone call.
Hello?
Mom, have you subscribed to my YouTube channel?
Can I do that? I want to.
But our phones have become somewhat of a double-edged sword. For all the utility that they provide, they become one of our greatest sources of distraction. Our phones now provide us with a constant stream of inputs, from news outlets to social media, YouTube videos, messaging platforms, video calls, and of course, the occasional phone call. In a recent study, Americans were shown to have checked their phone 96 times a day. That's once every 10 minutes. I know from my own personal experience that it can be frustrating to feel like your phone is the master of you and not the other way round. It should be a tool that you use rather than something you feel permanently tethered to. The issue is, our tech is purposely designed to make us want to use it more and more. Take notifications as an example. This apparently useful feature is meant to be a constant reminder of things that you need to do and access throughout the day. Take for example, your meeting with Mike at 3 p.m, or your hairdresser's appointment at 5, or that you need to take your supplements at 7. And whilst some of these notifications might be important, our phone will default to having all notifications on for all apps, which effectively results in a never-ending stream of input to our brain. What makes it even worse is that the nature of these notifications coming in and us responding to them actually becomes chemically addictive in the brain. Notifications have been shown to trigger dopamine release, which is the neurotransmitter for reward. That little red dot with the number next to our favorite social media apps becomes something that we begin to crave. And this craving means that we constantly check back in on these apps, refreshing and seeing if we've got another notification, if we've got another new like or a new comment on anything. And this extends beyond social media. People have this experience with news apps, YouTube, and anything else where you can effectively have what I like to call an infinity pool of information. That's any app where you can constantly keep scrolling down and it will keep pumping out new content towards you. Think of it like going to the shop to get eggs and you walk out with 100 other things and actually forget about the eggs. All of this can result in endless scrolling and a complete loss of time and space and where you're at in the world right now. And you might be asking, well, what's the problem with getting lost in social media for a while? And I guess there really isn't. But where I've found it extremely damaging in my life is when it comes to productivity and also my mental clarity. The issue arises when I want to focus on a particular task and my phone bleeps or lights up and causes a distraction. It's been shown that it takes around 25 minutes for a distracted mind to refocus on your original task. So every time you stop to check your phone and then try to go back to work, you're causing a disruption in your workflow. And this means that over the long run, you're wasting a lot of time and losing a lot of productivity on your most important tasks. And as well as damaging productivity, I've found it very damaging to my mental state as well. I'm often reminded of my mother, who always used to tell me to give appliances in the house a rest. She'd tell me when she wanted me to stop watching TV that it was time to give the screen a rest. Now obviously what she really meant was it was time to give my eyes a rest, it was time for me to go do something else. But it's the same. I try to take intentional breaks from social media and from scrolling through on my phone to give my brain and my headspace a bit of a rest from the endless stream of input that my phone can provide me. I don't know about you, but I can actually physically feel my brain relax when I take a break from my phone. So the question then becomes, how can we benefit from all the great uses of our phone without it becoming a painful distraction to the more important things that we're trying to achieve and do with our lives. So here are a few things that I've implemented that have revolutionized the way I interact with my phone, and I invite you to give them a go. 1. Turn off all non-essential notifications. Now this is going to vary from person to person, but I advise you to be as cutthroat as possible in this process. There are of course the obvious ones like social media and other entertainment apps that you should be interacting with when you choose to, not when your phone tries to remind you to. But above that, also things like news apps, which might feel like it's got useful information for you, but again, it comes down to when you choose to access that information. But beyond this, I would go as far as disabling notifications for emails and messages as well. Now you can make exceptions for a few people who you know if they're getting in touch with you it must be important, but generally speaking it's up to you when you reply to emails, because when you're replying to emails or replying to messages, you're dealing with other people's problems. You're taking time out of your day to serve what someone else needs from you. Keep in mind that I'm not asking you to disable your ability to receive messages. I'm asking you to limit the amount of time you spend reacting to other people's wants and needs of you. But be careful, because this does come with a risk of some people experiencing FOMO, or fear of missing out. This is where you're now worried because you're not receiving notifications that you might be missing something important. So you're now constantly refreshing and checking these apps to see if anything has come through. The idea here is to take intentional breaks from checking certain apps and creating space where you can be productive for extended periods of time without interruption. Which brings me on to my second bit of advice, which is schedule time to use certain apps. Take for example Instagram. Instead of it being something that you constantly nibble on like a snack throughout the day, turn it into a small meal that you have first thing in the morning or last thing at night, when everyone has finished posting, and you can take a moment during your day to go through, react, respond, and get in touch with people who have reached out to you. Not only does this limit its ability to distract you throughout the day, but it lets you use it with a bit more intention. So you can set an amount of time that you use these apps, rather than checking your screen time at the end of the day and finding you've spent 5 hours of your time just mindlessly scrolling. For things like emails and messages, you can then use a technique called batching. Batching is where we take a bunch of small tasks and we put them together into one little frame of productivity. So at the end of the day, check all of your emails before you finish work or whenever a good opportunity is to do so, and respond to everyone in one go. This way, you've spent your day focused on what you want to focus on, rather than answering to what other people want you to focus on. Most modern smartphones now include technologies like screen time, which allow you not only to see how long you're spending on certain apps, but to actually introduce digital limiters that tell you when you've used it for a certain amount of time and recommend that you stop there for the rest of the day. It's not going to stop you, but what it does do is introduce a little bit of friction that hopefully makes it less likely that you're going to go and click on these apps. Constantly feeling the need to check apps will erode your personal willpower. So make a real conscious effort to take breaks away from your phone. And finally, take a break from your phone. I don't mean don't look at it. I mean physically move away from your phone. Place a charger in your bedroom and intentionally leave it there for a portion of your day. Go get some important offline work done, or enjoy some time with your family, knowing that anything you miss will be there when you come back. Untethering yourself from it in your physical space is a great way to create a bit of separation and actually make you forget about it altogether. The simple act of seeing your phone on the desk is often more than enough to trigger us and make us want to pick it up and start scrolling. A final point, which tripped me up when I first started to create space between me and my phone, is its integration with other technologies. Take for example my laptop or my tablet. These are now all linked in together. So although I might have been taking a break from my phone, I then had message notifications coming through to my laptop. So apply these same principles to all of your bits of tech so that you can create the space that you need. To sum it all up, try to think of your notifications less like helpful little reminders and more like annoying little distractions. Try to think of your phone and other tools as exactly that, a tool for you to use for certain functions and not something that is permanently tethered to your hand. Life is far more beautiful when we view it through our eyes instead of through a little screen. And as always, take care of yourself.